Well, I feel like, man, whatever you do wrong must come back around in a circle. Just like, you know what I'm talking about? If you did wrong and everybody know it's blatant, the truth is out in the open. You sent that type of energy towards the Young Dolph way, and you got no Young Dolph knocked off. I talked to Govan. I did an interview with Hernandez Govan, the dude who set the whole, supposedly, you know what I'm saying?
What's the first thing you plan to do?
Go hug my son.
Mr. Govan, you haven't smiled all this week, but obviously you have a lot to smile about. Just tell me just about what you're feeling in right now.
Like I said, it's kind of hard to explain the feeling of getting your life back, you know.
It's looking like CMG is crumbling right before our eyes. For years, people have whispered about cracks forming inside Yo Gotti's empire, but those quiet whispers just transformed into loud alarms that can't be ignored anymore. The foundation that once seemed unshakable is now shaking in public, and the drama is spilling out for everyone to see. Stan G, one of the most tapped-in voices straight out of Memphis, went on No Jumper and said the unthinkable, words most people in the game have been too scared to even suggest. He claimed Yo Gotti might actually turn against one of his own, Blac Youngsta, and this isn't coming from trolls online making wild claims for clout. This is from someone with a real track record. Stan G has been face-to-face with the streets, talking to the very people who were connected to Young Dolph's tragic case, so when he speaks, it carries a weight that feels dangerous. When Stan G sat in that no-jumper chair, he didn't sugarcoat anything. He came out swinging, declaring that the same energy Yo Gotti once unleashed on Young Dolph is what got Dolph killed, and then he hit everyone with the chilling question. If Gotti could go that far against an enemy, why wouldn't he do the exact same thing to someone inside his own camp if tensions reached a boiling point? That's the type of statement that makes the whole room freeze. Stan G even went deeper, saying Blac Youngsta wasn't just another CMG artist. He was the sin. The one Gotti would push to handle the dirty work, stir up beefs, shoot chaotic videos, and do the reckless stuff that other rappers stayed far away from. At first, that strategy kept CMG buzzing in the industry, giving them the edge that made people pay attention. But now, with the Dolph case still casting a dark shadow, Stan G claimed that same role makes Youngsta look less like CMG's weapon and more like CMG's weakness. And in Gotti's world, weakness doesn't get rewarded, it gets erased. If that's true, then Blac Youngsta might not just be in trouble. He could be in serious danger because Stan G is basically saying his time inside CMG has an expiration date.
When I put out a story, the other day I put out a story, Young Mob had ended up catching a Rico, you know what I'm talking about, and I put out a story. An hour later, the news ran the same story.
The way fans saw it, this wasn't just some random trip down memory lane. It was a straight-up warning wrapped inside a history lesson. Stan G wasn't just talking to talk. His message hit like a shot in the dark. Watch your back. He reminded everyone that what you put out into the world always finds its way back. And the way Yo Gotti has been moving lately, Blac Youngsta's so-called loyalty might be the very thing that puts him in the line of fire. That's when things really start to look shaky for CMG. For a long time, CMG wasn't just winning, they were untouchable. Yo Gotti had a stacked roster that other labels envied. Moneybag Yo was running up numbers, dominating charts, and stacking hits. Blac Youngsta kept CMG buzzing with his wild antics, headline-grabbing stunts, and larger-than-life persona. Then Glorilla came storming onto the scene, blowing up almost overnight and giving the label a whole new spotlight. From the outside looking in, CMG appeared like a tight-knit family, moving together, eating together, and standing tall with no cracks showing. But lately, that picture-perfect image doesn't line up anymore. Moneybag's buzz has slowed down, and the hype that once followed Youngsta everywhere seems to have cooled off. Meanwhile, Yo Gotti has his eyes locked on Glorilla, treating her like the crown jewel, while even she's under a mountain of pressure. Because right now, let's keep it real, she's the only one actually carrying the label's weight on her back. Instead of a family that's winning together, CMG feels more like a battlefield where everyone's silently asking, who's safe and who's next? The so-called unity is cracking, and the tension is impossible to ignore.
Well, hell, at this point, because you lost all the his last artist is Glorilla. She doing crazy because he putting a crazy bag behind Glorilla.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So Glorilla, she gonna shine regardless right now. But when he go over there and dealing with them Texas boys, them folk got hit up. Them folk got hit up everywhere he go to, like the field watching. You know what I'm talking about? He signed that boy over there, that boy ended up going to jail. So they watching that boy so close right now.
Then things really started heating up when Blac Youngsta quietly scrubbed CMG out of his bio and began posting captions that looked more like subliminal shots than casual updates. Fans caught it instantly and the internet lit up with speculation. Right after that, Stan G stepped in with his chilling warning and suddenly nobody was laughing it off as trolling anymore. What once felt like internet games started looking like a real storm brewing inside the camp. People are paying close attention now and the vibe around CMG is nothing like before. Every new post feels shady. Every move looks suspect, and all that talk about loyalty doesn't land the same way it used to. Instead of unity, it feels like everyone's waiting for the next betrayal to drop, and the energy is darker than ever. And to really understand why tension runs so deep between Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta, you gotta rewind back to where it all began, with Young Dolph. That's the root of this entire mess. Years ago, Yo Gotti wanted Dolph on his roster, but Dolph wasn't having it. He turned Gotti down, and from that point, everything changed forever. Gotti didn't just move on gracefully, he allegedly started blocking Dolph, making moves behind the scenes to slow down his rise. But instead of stopping him, that pressure turned Dolph into an even brighter star. His independent grind grew stronger, and his name rang louder than ever. That's when the beef got real. Diss tracks started flying, public shots got louder, and the street tension went from whispers to something deadly serious. And right in the middle of it all, Blac Youngsta. He wasn't just dropping records, he was outside in neighborhoods, pulling up with wild energy, filming videos most rappers wouldn't even dare to attempt, putting himself directly on the front line of one of Memphis's ugliest rivalries.
The only reason I didn't do it, like I could have went over there and got with Gotti and got the co-signer and sped my whole process up, but at the same time, I couldn't do it because I had too much of my own money and too much of my own time invested into it. So it wouldn't have made sense for me.
It's business.
You see what I'm saying? And man, it's like, that's Memphis, bro. That town is too small. You know what I mean? Like, whatever, if anything, if he wanted to do something, I wanted to do something, bro, it's like, let's do it. That town is small. You know what I'm saying?
I'm glad to hear that.
It's just Memphis one of them cities like that. You know what I mean? Like, if you pay attention, it always been a artist out the city saying, I'm the king of Memphis, I'm the king of Memphis. That's why it done been so hard for other artists to pop out and take off, because everybody want to be that the bit one is just me. You know what I mean? But
back then, most people brushed it off as part of Blac Youngsta's wild image, but looking back now, it was way too reckless to ignore. Even Stan G labeled it a straight-up federal move because Youngsta was putting himself in situations that could only drag more heat back onto him and the whole CMG camp. So when Young Dolph was tragically killed in Memphis, the first thing that happened was every eye turned directly towards CMG, whether fair or not. And even though nothing was ever officially proven against Yo Gotti or Youngsta, the streets didn't care about courtrooms or evidence. They already made up their minds. And once people start connecting your name to something like that, it doesn't matter if you're innocent or guilty. It sticks to your reputation forever. That's the heavy shadow hovering over CMG to this day. And for Blac Youngsta, it's the biggest reason he no longer looks like an asset in the eyes of the industry. Instead, he's become a reminder of a dark chapter the label can't seem to escape. There was a time, though, when Youngsta was CMG's ultimate wild card, the spark plug that kept everything lit. He was the one pulling crazy stunts online, clowning around, flashing stacks of cash, and making sure people never stopped talking about the label. Anytime Yo Gotti needed the energy turned up, Youngsta was right there to deliver, like the loyal soldier who was always ready to ride for the team no matter the cost. Fans loved him for it too. They saw him as the definition of loyalty, the artist who wouldn't fold under pressure and would always put CMG on his back when things got rough.
Hey man, young rich tell them bitch what it is, bro.
YFN shit, young fly nigga,
Little
CMG shit,
big
young rich nigga, every count shit.
Nah, I would never them broke ass back shit. When I was broke, why would I them now they broke? It ain't my fault you broke. You weren't playing on me. I'm telling my mom. Ooh, I'm pregnant. Ooh, my shoe just fell out. Ooh, my head just fell out. Ooh.
But Stan G didn't see it that way at all. In his eyes, Blac Youngsta wasn't just being loyal, he was being used plain and simple. Stan G even called him one of the biggest sendouts in all of Memphis, basically saying Yo Gotti would push Youngsta to take on the risky moves, stir up the beefs, and handle all the dirty work that Gotti himself didn't want to touch. That's a heavy accusation, but when you really think about it, it lines up almost perfectly with how everything played out. While Gotti carefully maintained the calm, calculated boss image, Youngsta was the one going wild on camera, putting himself out there with reckless energy and taking the kind of risks that could only come back to haunt him.
For a long time, see, it's a long story behind Blac Youngsta. See, Blac Youngsta was hanging with one of Gotti enemies before he got with Gotti. So Blac Youngsta is somebody who just jump around for the money. He's just a send out. He one of the biggest send outs from Memphis. They're just keeping it real.
The problem with that kind of role is simple. It never lasts forever. After Dolph's death, Blac Youngsta's antics stopped looking funny and started looking flat out dangerous. What once made him CMG's spark quickly flipped into baggage. Every diss track, every wild graveyard stunt, every reckless move that kept him trending, people tied all of it right back to him. And now, he's gone quiet, almost like the fire's been put out. Stan G even claimed Youngsta's in hide mode because the Dolph case is still hanging over him like a dark cloud. To the streets, that makes him look finished. And to Gotti, it makes him look like a ticking liability, the type of person who could drag the wrong kind of heat onto the label at the worst possible time. And here's where it gets crystal clear that something ain't right. Blac Youngsta has gone viral more than once for scrubbing CMG out of his bio and loudly claiming independence. Every single time, fans go wild with speculation only for him to pop back up around Gotti like nothing ever happened. But this time, the energy feels different, like there's no going back. Right after all that tension hit the surface, and with Stan G's warning echoing in the air, Youngsta let loose with long, bitter rants online. And these weren't random thoughts. They were sharp, direct, and way too specific to be coincidence. He started calling out fake CEOs, fake big homies, and fake brothers, all labels that people have thrown at Yo Gotti for years. Then he doubled down, saying he was finished with fake love, fake loyalty, and putting his trust in the wrong people who never had his back. If that's not a shot fired straight at Gotti, then what else could it be? Youngsta basically put the target in plain sight.
I hate it's like that, cause bro, it's like, why, if you so gangster, why the f you rapping? Why you ain't out there killing? You need to go do some murders, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you're a killer, go kill shit. You right here on this stage for, you know what I'm saying? So I look at it like, so many people want to be rappers. And so many people I ain't no rapper, I'm a street. You know what I'm saying? It's just so much bullshit. So I had to wonder to myself, like, what the f am I? You know what I'm saying? All these to be lying like to my they this and they that. But what I had to really think like, what am I? And I'm like, I'm not a rapper. Cause I like rapping, but I'm to my side, but I really like entertaining people.
What really stood out about Youngsta's post wasn't just the words. It was the raw emotion pouring through every line. He spoke about losing close friends, about feeling isolated, and about knowing deep down that no matter how much money he stacked, he could still be touched at any moment. That doesn't sound like somebody clowning for attention. It sounds like a man who feels the danger closing in around him, like he knows the streets are watching and the walls are getting tighter by the day, and the timing way too perfect to brush off. Fans were already whispering about CMG falling apart, and then Youngsta himself drops emotional posts that basically confirm what everyone suspected, that things behind the scenes aren't nearly as smooth as they look on the surface. Even if he never mentions Yo Gotti by name, the message was crystal clear and everybody caught on instantly. Now here's where it gets even more layered. Yo Gotti has always styled himself as a mob boss. The name Gotti itself comes from John Gotti, and he's leaned into that mafia imagery for years. So when Youngsta started calling out fake CEOs and fake big homies, Gotti wasted no time firing back in his own way. He didn't respond directly with words. He dropped mafia-coded bars, flexing power and authority through music. By referencing Jay-Z's legendary Dynasty intro, he reminded everyone of his position at the top, like a boss sending a message without ever naming names. It was his way of saying, I still call the shots here, while letting the world know he's not the one to play with.
You know, you come well regarded, man. I mean, Sean Jay-Z Carter speaks very highly of you, right? I mean, Steve Stout speaks very highly of you. You know, I can't find a person that says anything bad about Yo Gotti, and they always say how smart you are, how focused you are, and a lot to get into about your business personality and all that.
And that's exactly what makes this whole situation even scarier. In a mob-style structure, breaking rank isn't just seen as disrespect, it's flat-out betrayal. And betrayal in that world, it never ends clean. Let's be real about it. That's why the tension between Blac Youngsta and Yo Gotti feels so heavy now, because what once looked like simple disagreements turned into something way darker after Young Dolph's death. That's when the whispers stopped and the tension became something everybody could see with their own eyes. After Dolph was killed, the streets wasted no time pointing fingers straight at CMG. The energy around the label shifted overnight, and every move they made was picked apart. To make it worse, Yo Gotti's own brother, Big Jook, ended up being picked up and questioned by police, which only fueled the speculation even further. Suddenly, CMG wasn't just seen as a powerhouse label. They were being tied to one of the biggest tragedies Memphis had ever witnessed. And now the spotlight is back again because the alleged triggerman Hernandez Govan was just acquitted in court. That ruling reopened old wounds and sparked new debates, throwing more suspicion and tension back on anyone tied to the case. And in case you missed it, here's the video that set the streets talking all over again.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Hernandez Govan, not guilty in count 2 of the indictment.
It was said more than once as the 45-year-old was acquitted on both counts. Govan was unable to contain his excitement as he embraced his pro bono defense attorneys, but out of view were the supporters of Young Dolph who were hoping Lady Justice would tip in their favor.
The last thing Yo Gotti needed in the middle of all this pressure was somebody from his own camp trolling about it. But that's exactly what Blac Youngsta did. He dropped a video at a gravesite standing right next to a headstone with Dolph's last name carved into it. That one image alone sent shockwaves through the city, and instead of cooling down after the backlash, Youngsta doubled down, posting more wild content online like he couldn't care less about what anybody thought.
Yeah, them then let me in. I put some rap they like when they out with their friends. Gang, 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 gang. Don't hit your block, we spin again. I'm a song.
To him, maybe it was just another way of showing reckless loyalty, standing tall for CMG, proving he was ready to ride for Gotti no matter what. But to Gotti, it looked like chaos waiting to explode. Fans noticed the shift instantly. What once felt like extreme loyalty started looking like pure recklessness that could drag the entire label down with it. And from that moment, the cracks between them stopped being whispers. They became impossible to hide. As I mentioned earlier, CMG doesn't shine like it once did. Moneybagg Yo's buzz slowed down noticeably. 42 Doug got tangled up in legal trouble, and Blac Youngsta has gone almost completely silent. Even Stan G pointed out that Gotti himself can't move the same way anymore. There's too much heat around him since Dolph's death, and while Glorilla is still carrying her weight, one artist alone can't hold an empire together forever. The fans see it, the streets see it, and everyone is starting to wonder if CMG's run might actually be coming to an end. But here's the scary part. People aren't asking who's next to blow up anymore. The only question floating around is who's next to fall out. And for Blac Youngsta, that's where the fear gets very real. Gotti isn't just a rapper, he's a businessman, a power broker, and someone with ties that stretch way beyond music. Stan G made it clear. Gotti has connections in high places. And if he wants somebody's career over, then it's over. If he wants legal trouble to follow someone, that can happen too. In that kind of world, shading your own boss online isn't just bold, it's downright dangerous. Because in Gotti's camp, being labeled a liability doesn't just mean losing your seat at the table. It could mean losing everything you built, maybe even more. So let's stop sugarcoating it. If Yo Gotti and Blac Youngsta really go to war, this won't just be another back and forth rap beef. This has the potential to get ugly and fast. Gotti moves like the unofficial president of Memphis. He's got money, influence, and connections that stretch far past studio walls. If things escalate, it won't just be rappers throwing dishes over beats. It'll be families, friends, and entire crews caught in the middle of the crossfire. And on the other side, Blac Youngsta isn't exactly the type to roll over and play nice. He's emotional, unpredictable, and reckless enough to speak his mind even when silence would serve him better. That combination makes him unpredictable. And unpredictability mixed with Gotti's boss-style moves. That's a recipe for full-blown disaster. Fans are already on edge, bracing for something they hope never comes. Nobody wants to see another tragedy like what happened with Dolph, but with Youngsta calling out fake CEOs and Stan G straight up warning that Gotti could turn on him, the writing on the wall is getting harder and harder to ignore. If these two don't find a way to fix this tension, CMG won't just risk losing one artist, it could see its entire legacy collapse. So the real question isn't whether CMG is falling apart, that much is already clear. The question is how far Yo Gotti is willing to go to maintain control. And if Stan G's warning is on point, then Blac Youngsta might be standing at the edge of something way darker than just rap beef, something that could change Memphis forever.